according to the Facebook app. Y'all watching this on replay. I'm recording on Instagram, but according to Facebook, where I'm also live, it says the live video is starting. That's what it says. And according to Instagram, it says we are telling your followers that you have started a live video. So let's see if they told me the truth. If you can hear this live video that I'm doing right now, shout yourself out in the comments. Tell me your name and location, and we shall begin momentarily. As you coming in again, shout yourselves out. My mic on. Shout yourselves out in the comments section. We're going to get started in a second. Hope everyone's having a great day, great afternoon, great evening, great night, whatever part of the day you happen to be consuming this, even if you're watching on replay. Shout yourselves out in the comment section. We're going to get into it in a moment. Shout out to Heather in Dallas. I'm going to be in Dallas in 3 weeks. 3 weeks I will be in Dallas for the BWC. I don't even know what they called that event. BWC something. Breakfast with Champions Prime event. I will be there in 3 weeks. Might be speaking it there, but mostly I'm going to be listening and just connecting with some business connections, some friends of mine. Anyway, shout out to the BWC folks. Shout yourselves out, y'all. We're going to get started in about 30 seconds. I'm going to introduce myself, and then we're going to get into what we need to get into. Get yourself a comfortable beverage. Get yourself a comfortable seat. Tell everybody, if you're in a room with a bunch of other people who are making noise, tell them to be quiet so you can make sure you hear everything I'm going to share here today, because this will be valuable and useful for you, regardless of where you're at, regardless of what you are doing in your life. Let's see, events. I guess it's just called BWC Dallas. I'm looking at the website, just trying to see the name of this event. Oh, the Champions Business Conference. That's what it's called. The Champions Business Conference. That'll be April 13th, 14th in Dallas. And I'm running a 10K on April 15th, and I will win that 10K on April 15th. But that's a different conversation for a different day. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete, author of 33 books. I've done 4 TEDx talks, created this whole brand and framework called Work on Your Game. It's all about taking the tools. So looking it up, but I'm not a champion. Well, that's why you need to come, so you can become a champion. That's the whole point. It's not for people who are a champion. Well, it is for people who are champions, for people who are ready to become champions. That's why you come to the event, so you can become a champion. So anyway, done 4 TEDx talks, created this whole brand called Work on Your Game. It's all about taking the tools to help athletes get to the top 1% in the sports world, and then translating that over to the business world to help professionals like yourselves be more consistent, perform at a higher level, and of course, while we're in business, we want to make more money. I mean, that's what we're here for. And the things that I share here, Work on Your Game, listen, it is not designed to make you feel good. It's designed to make you perform good. It's designed to help you do good. Now, you might feel good in the process. You might not feel good all the time. I just sent an email out today that might not make some people feel so great. And I just posted on my Facebook page as well. If you want to read it, it's Facebook/Work on Your Game. But it will help you perform at a higher level, guaranteed, if you heed the message that I shared. So Ali said, you found me on Sam Skelly. Oh, shout out to Sam Skelly. I was on her podcast. I don't know when that episode came out, probably maybe about a month or two ago. Shout out to Sam Skelly and everybody else's podcast I've been on. I've been on a lot of people's podcasts. So today's topic, we're going to get into the exact topic that I just sent out. Let me check and see if that email went out. But I just sent out an email today. Yes, I just sent it out. The title of the email was, "You Are Too Slow." If you didn't get that email, then that means you're not on my email list. You can get on my email list by going to this website, workonmygame.com. There's only one thing you can do on that page. And actually, I didn't type in. So if you just go to this website, let me get it. Workonmygame.com. And let me delete that comment. That's the wrong one. Workonmygame.com. You get on my email list if you're not already on it. You also go to my Facebook page. It's Facebook/WorkOnYourGame. And you can read the article that I just posted, but you should still get on my email list. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. The biggest problem that a lot of you have is that you are moving too slow. You are too damn slow. You take too long to get things done. And there are several reasons that you do this. We're going to talk about the reasons. We're going to talk about the solutions. We're going to talk about the mindsets and the understandings behind it. And we're going to get all this done in a relatively short period of time, because I'm talking about why you're moving too slow. So we're going to make sure we get through this stuff quickly. So make sure you're listening fast so I don't have to talk slower. Everybody got that? Let's get to it. There are many people who I talk to and I talk to people every day, whether it's through an email, a text message exchange, a direct message, or even live conversations. I was actually just on a conversation with a client of mine a second ago on the phone. And many people I talk to think they have a challenge of getting things done. Like, hey, they think their challenge with getting things done is due to a lack of information or a lack of tools or a lack of resources? How many of you right now listening to this, many of you probably won't admit it, you think the thing that you're not doing right now is because you don't have the resources or you don't have the tools or you don't have the knowledge? You think one of those is the reason why you're not doing something. If I just had the tool, if I just had the resources, if I just had more information, then I would get more things done. Most people, if you ask them, why are you not doing ABC, whatever they're not doing, they will give you one of these three as a reason. Sometimes they'll give you all three, right? This is usually the main challenge that you hear from people, when the truth is that's all nonsense. Why? Because all of us have access to more tools, resources, and information than we have ever had in our lives. You right now, listening to me right now, you have more access to more information than your parents had in their entire, you have more access to more information in your phone right now, through your phone, via your phone, than your parents had their entire, damn near their entire adult lives. Or let's just say their entire adult lives before they had you. All right. You have more access to more of that information right now than ever. So it's not information that you're missing. And that information can tell you where to get the resources. And that information basically becomes a tool that you could use to pretty much do anything you want. They got AI software now that'll pretty much write your articles for you. Like there is software that pretty much does all your work for you these days. So anybody not doing something is not because you lack access or resources or tools. The problem is your misuse and lack of respect for time. That's your biggest problem. Let me say it again. This is the thesis of my TED talk that I'm about to do here on this in this live, is your misuse and lack of respect for your time. That is what's causing you to not get things done and come up short on your goals. Not my goals, they're your goals. And we're going to talk about this. This is the most important thing. First of all, 5 forms of investment in life. There are 5 things you must invest in anything you want to be successful at, whether it is a relationship, whether it's your kids, is your career, is your job, is anything you want to be successful at. There are 5 things you must invest. Here they are: time, money, attention, energy, and focus. All 5. You must put all 5 in anything. I played professional sports before I got into, writing these books you see behind me and wearing these suits that you see. I played professional sports before that. And guess what I put into it? Time, money, attention, energy, and focus. I'm an entrepreneur now. Guess what I put into it? Time, money, attention, energy, and focus. If you're in a relationship right now, time, money, attention, energy, focus. You have kids and a good relationship with your kids, time, money, attention, energy, focus. You have a job and you're doing well at the job and they keep paying you, time, money, attention, energy, focus. You have to put these 5 things into anything that you do. And here's the thing. 4 of those things are they're pretty much worth about the exact same amount. They're worth about 10% each. That's the money, attention, energy, and focus. Yes, money is worth about 10%. The other 60% that takes up the rest of the pie is time. Time is the most valuable resource that you have. If you do not use your time wisely, then eventually your time runs out. And when your time runs out, it does not matter how much money, attention, energy, or focus you have remaining, because you're dead and it's over. And all that goes with you to the graveyard. That's why the graveyard is the most valuable real estate on earth, because it has a whole bunch of people's unrealized dreams, unsung music, unwritten books, unexercised potential and talent goes with them to the graveyard. So if you want to buy some very, very valuable real estate, it is not in Manhattan Beach, California. It is not in Manhattan, New York. It is not in South Beach, Miami. The most valuable real estate on earth is at a graveyard. Go to a cemetery. That's where the most valuable real estate is, because that's where a whole bunch of people's wasted talent goes with them when they die. Now, with all that said, let's get into the first point. How do you get over this issue of moving too slow? Because a bunch of you are moving too damn slow. And by the way, slow is relative. So when I say you're moving too slow, I'm not talking about you compared to the person next door to you. I'm talking about you compared to how fast you could be moving. And if you get conscious about moving more quickly and about making decisions more quickly and having a little bit more urgency, you can move faster than you're moving right now, and you would get more done. Simple as that. Let's get into it. First thing, it goes right along to what I just said, is fast implementation. What does that mean? Fast implementation. I've talked about this in a few episodes of my podcast, which, by the way, is called Work on Your Game. Comes out every day as a solo show. So I know many of you listen to podcasts where somebody interviews, they bring a guest on, they interview somebody. If you want to hear a podcast with just one person talking and there are no guests, it's kind of like listening to the radio. It's about 20, 30 minutes a day. That's my show. It's called Work on Your Game. So anyway, in episodes 1392 and episodes 1445, I talked about implementation. What does implementation mean? It means taking knowledge or information or an idea and actually putting it to action. means taking potential energy, which is energy, stored energy that has not been used, and turn it into kinetic energy. That is energy in motion. All right, scientifically speaking. That's what implementation means. You need to get really good at implementing fast. Implementing fast, meaning when you get a new idea, when you get new information, when you get a new insight, when someone gives you a tip, or they give you a directive or something, hey, maybe you should do this or this or this. You need to get into the habit of implementing that information as quickly as possible. That's what I mean when I say fast implementation. Implementing information as quickly as possible. Do something with new information that you get so that you actually do use it. I was at a couple of events last week, and one of the events that I was at, second one I was at, was out in California, and I took a bunch of notes of things that I needed to do in my business, things I need to do in some of my sales funnels, things I needed to do when it came to the prospects I'm talking to and my clients and things like that. And I would always write down my ideas and notes and things like that. You know what I did? I went back to my hotel room at the end of those days, and I immediately started implementing the things that I had written down. I didn't say I'm going to implement it when I get home. I didn't say I'll think about it and then figure out how I'm going to use it. No, as soon as I got an idea and I heard it and I said, you know what, that makes sense. Or I was talking to some of the other attendees in the room and they said, well, this is what I do with my business. Here's what I'm doing with my thing. Here's what I'm doing over here. And I'm sitting in the room listening to some of these people talking. I'm like, damn, what they're doing is a better idea than what I'm doing. I wrote down the idea of what they were doing. And as soon as I got on the computer, I immediately implemented the new idea. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to consider it. You don't need to evaluate it. As soon as you hear something that you know could work and could be of good use for you, you need to implement it immediately. I was in a room at this event. I'll give you another story. I'm in a room at this event, and the guy on the stage, it was a private event for this program that I'm a part of. And they were saying, well, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make a new process for everybody. And in order for us to do this process, y'all need the details of this. We need everybody to fill out this form. So they had this form on his website, and I go and I fill out the form. And I go to look at the form, and the form had like all these questions, like 20 questions on the form, and they were long questions. Like you had to put a whole bunch of information in there to fill out the form. And I'm sitting in the room while the guy's talking on the stage. I'm filling out the form right there on the spot. I was probably the first person to fill out that form, at least to the people who were in the room. And I'm not telling you that to impress you, but to impress upon you that when you get new ideas and new ways of doing things, you must implement immediately. Not in a week, not in a month, not tomorrow, immediately. When you get a new idea, do it now. Somebody tells you, hey, you need to read this book. And it sounds like a book that you need to read. Go buy the book. It'll be at your doorstep by Amazon, tomorrow morning, right? Most ideas do not get implemented, and they never happen simply because, first of all, people forget to implement them because you say you're going to do it, then you forget, and you go right back to your normal habits of behavior, which is whatever you were doing outside of that. Or people don't implement because it makes you a little bit uncomfortable to step outside of your comfort zone by doing something that breaks one of your normal habits. See, we get into a state of routine. Napoleon Hill called this cosmic habit force, where he talks about habit and routine, is that we get into a process of doing things a certain way over and over again in our lives. And it's hard for us to break out of those habits and do something different, even if the something different is something that would actually help us, because it makes us a little bit uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to do something outside of your normal habits. You have to develop the muscle that pushes you to do things differently when you see the opportunity to do so. When you see something that looks like a better idea, or you know is a better idea, you got to implement it immediately. Okay? Make a habit out of doing this. When you make a habit out of doing that, then things will change in your life. But never, ever, ever, let me tell you something that you shouldn't do. This is what some people do. Never leave things to memory, because you will not remember, and then you will continue to not get things done. So you get a new idea. If you can't do anything about it right now, at least write it down. That's the least you could do. Just write it down. Write down the idea. Like I said, I was inside of a conference room. I didn't have my laptop with me. And what I needed to do was on my laptop. Laptop was in the hotel room. So I just wrote down all my ideas on my phone. I have an app on my phone where I write down ideas. And as soon as I got to the computer, I implemented the idea. Just like that. Not, again, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to plan it out. You don't have to consult with anybody. You don't have to talk to 10 people. Just go do it. You don't have to research anything. You don't have to Google it. Just go implement the idea. It doesn't take you 30 minutes to think about something. It doesn't take 3 days to think about something. You don't even need to sleep on something. When you get a good idea, you think about it instantaneously. All right. Thought is instantaneous. All right. You think immediately. All right. I want y'all to think of, I put this in an article that I just sent out via email today. If you're on my email list, you should have got it. But again, go to my Facebook page. You want to read it. Think of an elephant. And you ever been to a zoo? Everybody knows what an elephant is, right? All right, think of an elephant. All right, the big animal with the thick skin and a long trunk. Everybody knows what an elephant looks like. All right, everybody here picturing an elephant? You got it? You got it in your mind, a picture of an elephant? Okay, that's how fast you can think. How long did that take? 10 seconds? I told you to picture an elephant. You immediately got a picture of an elephant in your mind. It took you less than 10 seconds. So next time somebody tells you they need to think about something, they're lying. Nobody needs to think about anything. Because as soon as it gets brought to your mind and you're you're conversing about it, you're already thinking about it. Thinking is instantaneous. All right, nobody needs 3 days or 3 weeks or 3 months to think about anything. That's a delay tactic. And here's the problem with delay tactics, folks, is that your time in life is not unlimited. Your time is limited. Eventually, you're going to die. Eventually, your life will be over. And when your life is over, all the things that you were thinking about, they go with you. They're done. They're not happening. At least not happening by you. So anytime you tell yourself you're going to think about something, then all right, stop what you're doing, think about it, make a decision, and then take action. So next time you tell yourself you need to think about it, that's what I want you to do. Not say, all right, I'll get back to you next week. You don't need a week. Who thinks about something for a whole week? Nobody. You made a decision. You might not do anything for a week, but you thought about it. It took you like 30 seconds to think about it. Then it just takes people a week to do something. That's the problem. Why is this a problem? Because you're showing a lack of respect for your time, a lack of respect for the fact that your time is not unlimited. Eventually, your time will be over. And the day that you die, and there's a funeral, hopefully a whole bunch of people come to your funeral when you die. You know what your friends are going to say around 2:30 p.m. the day of your funeral? Anybody know what's going to happen? I'm interested to see somebody answer this question. I saw a question I'm going to answer this question in the chat. But I want to pose this question first. I want to see who has a good answer. If you read my article, you already know the answer. But the day of your funeral, around 2:30 in the afternoon, what are your friends and family going to say? I'm talking about your kids, your husband or wife, if they survived you, your best friend from back home, your next door neighbors, your secretary from your job, all the people who you work with, the people from your neighborhood, the people from your church, everybody who came to your funeral. You know what they're going to say around 2:30 in the afternoon, the day of your funeral? I want to know if anybody knows the answer to the question. Anybody know the answer to that question? And while I wait for y'all to answer that, let me see this question. Ali says, you ever worried that you wouldn't resonate with or develop an audience? What kept you going when you first started posting videos on YouTube? No, I don't ever worry about that. But sometimes I post content that doesn't really catch. You know, sometimes you post something and it hits and a bunch of people see it. Sometimes you post stuff and a bunch of people, or not a bunch of people see it, only a few people see it. But the thing is, if you know what you're putting out is valuable and useful, then you just stay consistent. And that's the thing and there are people watching you who don't say anything. Most of your audience doesn't say anything. Most of your audience don't leave comments. They don't post anything. That you don't even know that they exist. Most of your audience, you don't know that they're there. They don't make themselves known. So no, I don't worry about that. But I'm going to come back to that. It's a good question. I'm going to come back to that. Well, most of the people who come to your funeral are going to say the day of your funeral, they're going to say, man, I'm hungry. Where are we going for lunch? That's what they're going to say. They're going to say, I'm hungry. I need a slice of pizza, or let's go get a cheeseburger, or let's stop at that McDonald's over there, or let's go, what restaurant we're going to go to eat lunch. The whole point is they're going to move on. That's the whole point. They're going to move on. And everything that you thought about doing is done, over, finished. So that's the first point, is fast implementation. You can just get better at implementing things quickly. You'll get a lot more done, even if, this is the key, even if the things you implement don't work. So this goes right along with the question that you just asked, Ali, is that even if you implement something that doesn't work, let's say I decided what's something that I'm not doing. I use all the social media platforms. So let's say that I decided to start a new TikTok channel today, and I'm going to do dances on TikTok. This is never happening, but let's just say I did, right? And I started doing dances on TikTok. As long as I implement it immediately and I start posting consistently, I will find out whether it works or it doesn't work very quickly, as opposed to the person who says, well, I'm going to do a channel on TikTok and I'm going to do dances too, but I'm going to wait 30 days until the kids get out of school, or after spring break is over, or after I finish filing my taxes, or after I do, how people come up with these BS excuses for why they got to wait to do something. It's all excuses. And these are delays that add time to situations. And again, you're on the clock. This is why you don't want to add time to a situation, because how much time do you have? This is an important question. How much time do you have? Anybody who's watching me live right now, somebody put in the comments if you know exactly how much time you have left on this planet. Does anybody know? The only way you can know is if A, you plan on killing yourself, or B, you've been to a doctor and they told you have a terminal disease and they're giving you a timeline. And sometimes they're wrong anyway. Sometimes they call it short. Sometimes they call it long. Sometimes you end up living past whatever they said was going to happen. So for the most part, most of us don't know how much time we have left, but we all know that there's a limited amount, right? We all know it's finite. Anybody here has a reasonable expectation to live forever? Most of us know, right? So we all understand that at some point it's over. So when you add time to a situation and say, well, I'm not going to do it now. I know I need to do this, but I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to wait until ABC, XYZ. You are basically defying logic. You're defying biology, which says definitely that you're going to die, but you're adding time to a situation as if you have unlimited time and as if you are in control of how much time you have. Both of those are wrong. You're not in control. So that means you need to be implementing as quickly as possible as if you understand the amount of urgency you need to have about the time that you have remaining on this planet. All right? How much time do you have? Again, any of you know anybody who is your age or younger and they died, not expecting to die that day? All of us do. Any of you know anybody who died before the age that you are right now? Which means everybody here is on the clock. You just don't know how much time is on that clock, but you are on the clock. So when you delay implementation, you are disrespecting the fact that your time is limited. Everybody follow me so far? Moving on, point number 2. We're talking about, topic here today is you are too slow. You are moving too slow. Number 2, get feedback and make decisions quickly. You have to be quick at decision making. Here's one thing that you will find anytime you want to know you're looking at a leader, you're going to find a decision maker. The decision maker in any group is the leader. The decision maker in a family is the leader. The decision maker on a sports team is the leader. The decision maker in a business is the leader. They don't even have to have the title, but whoever makes the decision is the leader. Now, here's the thing. Many of you have the problem of you are the person on your team in your life. You're not even part of you might not even be part of a team. Or maybe you're not, maybe you don't have kids. Maybe you don't have a family. Maybe you don't own a business. Maybe you're not on a sports team. So it's just you. All right. You have to be the leader of your own organization. Malcolm X said this in his autobiography. If y'all have not read that book, you should read it. It's called The Autobiography of Malcolm X, written by Alex Haley. He said every organization must have a boss. Even if you're by yourself, you must be the boss of yourself. You need to be the boss of your own organization. And here's what I take from that is that as the boss of your organization, even if you can have a family with 10 kids and you go run a business with 100 employees, you can be on a sports team with 50 people on it. You still need to be the boss of you incorporated. You got to be the boss of yourself, which means when there's a decision to be made about you and your life, you need to make a decision. Make a decision. Even if the decision is no, make a decision. If the decision is yes, make that decision. Whatever your decision is, make a decision. The biggest challenge that I see, and I'm an entrepreneur. I work in the sales world. Entrepreneurs are salespeople, whether you want to call yourself one or not. I talk to a lot of people who just don't want to make decisions. They are indecisive, and therefore they delay making decisions, or they make decisions, but they don't want to say what their decision is because maybe they're uncomfortable saying no, or they're uncomfortable saying, look, I don't have the money, or they're uncomfortable saying, I don't want to do whatever the thing is. So they delay what they call a decision, or they delay the execution of a decision, whatever it may be. And this slows a whole bunch of people down. And again, it's showing a lack of respect for the fact that your time is limited. Many people just don't have a lot of respect for time, and that ends up misusing time. And again, as I told you at the top of this, time is your most valuable resource. Time is more valuable than your money, attention, energy, and focus put together. Even though they're all 5 forms of investment, time is the most valuable one, because if you run out of money, any of you ever ran out of money? Okay, but you kept living though, right? You had time, you had the ability to make more money. All right. Any of you ever made a whole bunch of money in a very short period of time? I'm sure you have. Any of you ever lost a bunch of money in a very short period of time? All of us have. Any of you ever not had any money, but you had the opportunity to go get more money? All of us have been in that situation. You could be short on attention, meaning you're not paying attention for whatever reason. Any of you ever lost focus? Like you get tired. Any of you just ever been real tired and you couldn't do any more work? You had to get off the computer. You couldn't read anymore. You just had to go to sleep. Or all of us do that. We go to sleep like every day, most of us, right? So you can run out of energy, you can run out of focus, attention, or money. You can wake up and fight another day. If you run out of any of those things, you run out of time, the game's over. That's why time is the most valuable resource you have. You run out of time, the game is over. This is why you need to make decisions quickly about what you're going to do, what you're not going to do. You're in a situation that you don't want to be in, get out of it immediately. Go to whoever you need to go to and get out of that situation as quickly as you possibly can. You don't have to endure. Sometimes in life, let me not say you don't have to. Sometimes in life, you do have to endure things so you get to the thing that you want. But you should have a plan in your mind. All right, I'm going to endure this for this much time so I can get to this thing that's over here. Or you go to the gym, you might not like going to the gym. You might hate going to the gym, but you go to the gym so you can be healthier, and that'll allow you to live longer. You have more time. You can take care of your kids and live out your dreams, whatever it may be. Sometimes we got to endure stuff. All right. Sometimes you might be sitting in traffic. Like right now in Miami, there's this big concert called Ultra. It's happening over the next 3 days. And if you try to drive down Biscayne Bay, you're going to be stuck there for an hour, right? If you try to drive. So I'm not driving anywhere for the next 3 days. And if you get stuck in that traffic, that doesn't mean, you don't want to be stuck in traffic. It doesn't mean hop out of your car and just leave it there. You got to stay there. You got to endure that so you can get through it. But now next time, don't be driving on Biscayne Bay during Ultra. The whole point is making decisions quickly, getting feedback quickly, and then making a decision based on that feedback of what to do next. So going back to the question that Ali asked, and I'm going to answer this other question here as well. That let's say you decide to try something new in your business. You decide to try something new in your life. You try something new in the gym. And you need to decide, all right, do I keep doing this? Should I keep trying it? Or should I give it up? You need to have a benchmark. Okay, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to try this YouTube channel. I'm going to try posting on Instagram. I'm going to try posting on TikTok for 6 months, and I'm going to post every day for 6 months, and I'm going to see where I'm at. One of my clients right now that I'm working with, he's into writing. And he said he took some course. They told him, hey, you need to be writing like every day for a year and see where you're at the end of that year. And I like that idea. It's the same thing I would tell somebody if you were starting a podcast right now or a YouTube channel. You need to be posting consistently for a year. It doesn't mean you got to post every day. If you're going to do a podcast, let's say at least one episode a week for a year before you say this podcast is working, this podcast is not working. If you're going to sell a product or service, Russell Brunson, who's a ClickFunnels guy, he talks about this, that you got to get a certain amount of traffic to come through your sales page before you can decide, okay, this sales page is working, this sales page is not working. This offer is a good offer because we made this many sales. This offer is not good because we made this many sales. And programs that I'm in right now, they say that. They say, based on what you're selling, don't take this as a hard number to use for anything, but they say you got to get at least 100 people to come through your page of whatever you're offering before we make a decision as to whether or not we should keep it or change it. But the whole point is there's a benchmark. There needs to be benchmarks in place so that when do you look at the numbers and say, okay, this is working, this is not working, and you need to know what's the line between working and not working. Is 50 means working, but 49 means not working? You need to know that. How do you know? The way that you can best know this, for any of you who wants to know, is that you need to get with someone who has been where you want to be, who can help you and help guide you so that you can make educated decisions that are statistically significant. You got to have enough information to make statistically significant measurements and calculations, and okay, let me move forward or let me give this up. But you have to have a way of measuring that. This should not be something that you just do by feel or you're measuring by eye. You shouldn't be doing that. That's amateur. All right, you're a professional at what you do. You got to have a way of measuring your work to know this is working, this is not working. And it should be clear, black and white. If I get this many, is working. But if I get one less than that, it's not working. You need to know that. If you don't know, then you need to figure that out. Or again, don't figure it out. Go get with someone who already knows how to do what you're trying to do. Let them coach you, let them guide you, let them mentor you, and then you don't have to figure it out. Trying to figure things out on your own is the slowest way to achieve success. And why is that a bad thing? Because slow is the exact thing we're trying to get over right now. All right. Being slow is the exact thing that you don't want to be. All right. You could be uninformed. You could be broke. You could be tired. Don't be slow. All right. Do not be slow. Because if you're uninformed, you can get with somebody who has the information. You're broke, you can get with somebody who has the money or someone who can show you how to do it without the money. If you're tired, you can go to sleep and get some more energy. But doing things slowly is the worst way to do things. And trying to do things by yourself is the slowest way to do them. And here's why. Let me go into that. Then I'm going to address this question that somebody put in the comments. Doing things by yourself is the slowest way to do things because you are not capable of doing everything at a high level. I'm talking to each one of you who's listening to me right now. You are not good enough to do everything by yourself. Most human beings are professional level good at maybe 2 or 3 things. If you're super talented, you're professional level good at 3 things. Most people, 1 or 2. That's it. What do I mean when I say professional level? That means you are good enough that you can go into the open market right now and you could command a full-time salary for that skill. Most people have 2 or 3 things they're good enough at to do that. Actually, most people have 1 or 2 things. If you're super talented, you might have 3. Most people 1 or 2. Meaning, if you look at yourself in your life right now, especially those of you who are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, doing your thing, if you are doing 8 jobs in your business right now, you're doing at least 5 of those jobs at an amateur level. Why? Because you are not talented enough to be professional level good at 8 things. Nobody is. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get by. You can get by at doing them, but you need to get off of those jobs as quickly as possible because you are not doing them at your highest possible level. And to compound the crime, you are spending time. You're taking time away from the things that you are really great at in order to do things that you're not great at. So let's say I was great at two things, right? But then I'm doing everything else that I'm not supposed to be doing. So I'll use myself as an example. Things that I do best is speaking, writing, and basically, we'll just say speaking and writing. Speaking can be broken in a couple categories. So that could be like speaking to a group like this, speaking on a stage like a speaking gig, or speaking like if I'm working with my coaching clients on a Zoom call or something like that. So we'll call that speaking. And the other thing is writing. I like writing. That's why I write books. I write articles, interviews on my email list. You know, I send emails like 5-6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. I send out a daily motivation text for free. If you're not on my text message list, then you can text me at, let me put my number in here for those of you who want to get my text message. You want to get my daily motivation text for free that I send out every day is right there. I just like writing things. I like writing and I like speaking, right? So those are my professional level skills. I do right now. I go out in the open marketplace and I sell those abilities and I make money from it, right? Now, so let's just say I got those 2 skills and I used to play sports, but I don't play sports anymore. So let's just say those 2 skills, right? Now, you see these books behind me? If I'm doing all the editing for these books, if I'm doing all the cover design for these books, if I was binding the books together, that's like taking the actual pages of the book and making it into a physical book so it opens and you can turn the pages. If I did all of that, if I had to package them up and put them in a box and ship them out in the mail to the bookstores, to Amazon, what's another thing I need to be doing? I got a podcast. If I had to edit the audio and I had to write the show notes and I had to create the artwork, if I had to do all of that stuff, if I had to I had to figure out the connection to the internet every time I want to go live on Instagram. If I was doing all of those things, in addition to these 2 skills that I told you I'm pro level at, well, here's 2 problems. Number 1, I'm not good at all those other things and I'm trying to do them. So I'm doing amateur level work at all these other skills. And number 2, every minute that I spend doing something like editing audio, guess what I'm not doing? I'm not actually doing the things that I'm great at, which is like speaking and writing. I want to spend as much time as possible doing the things that I'm great at so I can spend as little time as possible doing everything else. And I create the highest return on investment because I'm doing things that I'm great at. So you want to spend as much time as possible doing things that you're great at. Challenge is you need to know what you're great at. Many people don't know. Many entrepreneurs, and I talk to many of them, have no idea what they're great at. They don't know what their superpower is. At least entrepreneurs who are up and coming. Let's just say that. Up and coming entrepreneurs. When someone gets to about 100,000, 150,000, they have a pretty good idea of what they're great at, but they don't always know how to get themselves completely focused on that so they can stop doing other things. That's where someone like myself comes in, and we help strategize and create systems so you can focus on the things that you do best. But this is what all of us need to be doing. Even if you are not an entrepreneur, you work at a traditional job, you need to know what you're great at so you can spend most of your time doing that and less time doing all the other stuff because you'll provide the most value. When you provide a lot of value, guess what? People will pay you for it. Doesn't matter where you're doing it. But you got to know where do you provide the most value so you can spend more time doing it. So let me answer this question real quick. Zaire says, I had some great communication skills. They're a trade I pick up on to harness the gift of gab. Well, a trade, when you say a trade, you mean like a job? Or, you could do something like what I'm doing right now. Not necessarily Instagramming, but depends on what you are communicating. If you have great communication skills, you could do something like, you have a TV show like Oprah and interview people. You can have a podcast, like everybody got a podcast these days. You can start there. You can get on YouTube. YouTube is free. Instagram is free. Podcasting is free. And you can start to build up an audience, find out what that audience wants from you, and then you can figure out a way through the right coaching from the right people and learn how to monetize it. So that's a loose idea of how you can do all that. So let's see what we got here. All right. So the topic here, for those who came in the middle, we are talking about you are moving too slow and why you need to, what I was just talking about, I was answering the question, but before that was why you need to know what your superpowers are. What are you great at so you can spend the majority of your time doing things that you are great at and less time doing things that you are not great at, and getting feedback, making decisions quickly. You need to know your data. When you're trying something new, I don't care what it is, a product, idea, implementation, you need a way of getting feedback. And that means you may need to invest in yourself, invest in the feedback, meaning go get yourself a coach who knows the road that you're trying to drive on right now. They already been on that road, so they can help you reduce the amount of time it takes for you to know what's working and what's not, and to help you reduce the amount of time you need to figure out where to go next, what to do next, what not to do, what to stop doing, what to try. And when you have someone around you who's already been there, then you can achieve the outcome a whole lot faster. This is why you get coaches. This is why you sign up for courses. This is why you join masterminds. This is why you get around other people who know stuff that you don't know. I just told you I was at an event last week, and I was around a bunch of people who know things that I don't know. People who are playing the game at a higher level than me. So I'm listening. I'm soaking up the game there. I wasn't there to talk. I was there to listen. I wasn't there to give out my knowledge. I was there to take in knowledge. I was taking notes. I wasn't giving notes. I was taking notes because I want to learn from other people who are playing the game at a higher level than me. But you have to invest in that access. I didn't get into that room for free. I had to invest in order to get into that room. It's the same thing that all of you need to do. And you need to be thinking about how you can do this for your business so you can move yourself forward faster. And by the way, when I say your business, I'm not talking about you have to be an entrepreneur. Your business, you are your business. All right, you incorporated. All right, you are a business. You need to be looking at yourself and your life as a business. And when you own a business, guess what you do? You invest in your business. You invest in supplies, you invest in knowledge, you invest in advancement, you invest in protecting your assets, you invest in making yourself a more valuable person, you invest in all of these things. So whatever you do for a living, you are a business. If there's money coming in and money going out, that's a business. All right. Do you spend money on yourself? Okay. Did it cost you money to buy lunch? All right. Does it cost you money to be born? Does it cost money to die? Does it cost money in between? Yes. And do you make money? All right. You got a job? All right. You got a business? Anybody ever paid you money for anything? All right. That's business. That is technically, by definition, business. So all of you are a business by yourself, let alone the company that you work for or the company that you work in or that you own. So if you're not thinking about yourself before this point, you never thought about yourself as a business entity. Now you should start thinking about yourself as a business. So anyway, in the second point, there should be no ambiguity as to what's working and what's not working. There should be clear benchmarks. If I'm at this level, it's working. If I'm at this level, it's not working. You should know. It should be clear. When I hit here, I'm working. Anything less than that is not working. If you don't know that, then you're going to be basically making decisions based on feel and your emotions or just your gut instincts. And there is a time and place for using your gut instincts and your emotions, but it's not when we're looking at data. That's not the time to use your gut instincts. You need a system or a process for this. It should never be random. Number 3. We're talking here today of how you are moving too slow. Simple question. How are you using your days? Today, right now, let me show you something. Today, right now, how are you using your day? That's a question I got for everybody. How are you using your days on a daily basis right now? Do you have your days scheduled out? Do you know what you're doing today? Do you know what you're doing tomorrow? Can you tell me what you're going to be doing 2 hours from now? And I'm not talking about what you think you're going to be doing. I'm talking about, do you know what you're going to be doing? What are you going to be doing 4 days from now at 12 o'clock p.m.? Do you know? Here's my calendar. All right, so those of you on Facebook, y'all can see that. I'm on Facebook Live and Instagram. Here's my calendar right now. You see all those colors? It looks like don't really look like a rainbow, but you see all those colors look like a bag of Skittles? All right, this is my calendar. And I'm showing you this not to impress you, but to impress upon you. I know exactly what I'm doing, when and where I'm doing it. That's the whole point. Do you know what you are doing? Do you know what you're doing today? Do you know what you're doing tomorrow? You know what you're doing this weekend? You know when your next call is scheduled? Do you know when you're going to do those things in your to-do list? Do you have them in your calendar so that you actually have it planned that you're actually going to take time and do that thing? Or you just put it on your to-do list and hope that you get around to getting to it. This is how many people end up wasting time, because you got these things in your to-do list that you never get to because there's no plan to actually get to them. And if you are an entrepreneur, you make your own schedule. This is unacceptable. Now, there are some contingencies. Now, if you work at a job, you don't always have time to get to everything, or you got to take care of kids and they're kind of unpredictable. That's different. But if you're an entrepreneur, you control your own schedule. There's no reason why you should not have your days planned out on a calendar that says exactly what you're doing, when, where, why, and how. And in the big picture of your life, you should be looking at the calendar, showing respect for your time. Calendar makes you respect time. It forces you to respect your time because the calendar is finite. There's only 24 hours in a day. There's only so much you can get done in one day. All right. When you put it on the calendar, you can't lie. It's on the calendar. It says 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Ain't no lying on that. Now, you can lie to yourself. You can't lie to the calendar. If, for example, you had a job, if you have a job, your day is regimented based on the system of the company, right? The company tells you. I remember I worked at Pizza Hut. And when I worked at Pizza Hut, this is when I was a teenager, I would call there the day that the schedule came out. Let's say the schedule came out every Thursday, right? I would call Pizza Hut on Thursday, and whoever answered the phone, I would say, yo, this is Dre. Can you look at the schedule and tell me the next day that I need to come into work? And somebody would go and say, hold on. They will look at the schedule and they say, Dre, you work tomorrow from 2 to close. So I would come in on Friday at 2 o'clock, and then I would look at the schedule, and the schedule would say, I work Friday, then I work again on Sunday, then I work Monday, and I work Wednesday. And it would tell me exactly what time I had to be there, and it told me exactly what time I got off, right? Why does that matter? Because everybody else who worked there had the exact same thing. Not the same schedule, but we all had a regimented plan of what time you need to be at work and what time you leave work. Why? Because the company knew who needed to be on staff, how much manpower they needed so that they could run the business and they could keep making the money. Every business does this. Whole Foods, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Amazon, name another company, name any company. They all do this. So if you are a business, you need to be doing the same thing. I already told you that you're a business. You incorporated, you're a business. And guess what? Those companies run smoothly and consistently because everybody's on a schedule. Everybody's on a plan. There's a plan for how much of your work we're going to need. All right, so you need to have all these things planned out. This should never be random. Your schedule should never be random. What you're doing next should not be random. When you get done watching this live, I don't know if watching this live was on your schedule today, but that's a different conversation. But when you get done watching this live, there should be a schedule. You should know what you're doing next. Again, open up the calendar app on your phone, and your calendar should look something like this. You should know what you're doing next. What are you doing tomorrow? I can tell you exactly what I'm going to be doing 1 week from today at this exact time because it's on the calendar. You should know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you are not showing respect to your time. And when you don't respect your time, you're disrespecting the most valuable resource you have. Again, when your time runs out, it's over. So if you are not paying attention to the time, what are you paying attention to? If you're running the business, you got to be watching the money. If you're running your life, you got to be watching your time. Because if your business runs out of money, no more business for the most part. And if your life runs out of time, no more life. Everybody got what I'm saying? Zay here says, what the hell was I doing working at Pizza? I told you I was a teenager working at Pizza Hut. All right. I don't work at Pizza Hut now. I would eat some Pizza Hut, but I could eat some pizza right now. I don't work at Pizza Hut now. So everybody follow what I said so far. If you got a question, put it in the comment section. I'll take a couple questions, and I'm going to recap my points in a second. So if you're an entrepreneur, again, you're working in your own company, do you have a process and a program for yourself for how you're using your time? And the way you use your time usually is somewhat, if not deeply correlated to where the money's coming from or how much money is coming in. And that's very important if you run the business. One symptom of people moving slowly, one reason that people move too slow, and that's the topic here of this conversation, is that there is no schedule. When you don't have a schedule, you tend to waste time. Why? Because every time you finish doing one task, now you got to figure out what the next task is because you don't have a schedule. You don't have a plan. All right, when I get done this, I'm doing this. You should know at the beginning of your day, the beginning of my day, let me tell you what I look at. When I wake up in the morning, I got a notes app where I take my notes from the previous night. I take notes on how I slept. I got a sleep app that tracks how I slept and all of that stuff. I got a few notes that I write down in the morning. Then I open a Calm app, which is the meditation app. And then I'm looking at the money from the previous night and the previous day. I'm looking at the money in accounts and all of that. I'm looking at messages that I got, like emails, anything that might be related to business. I'm getting messages from my staff, if there is any, and from my clients, if there are any that I need to just know about. I might not address them, but just that I know about. And then I'm looking at my goals, and that's what I'm doing every single day. There's a routine for it. There's a process for it. And again, I'm not telling you that to impress you, but to impress upon you, you can do the exact same thing. What's stopping you? Nothing. All of you got a phone. Everybody listening to this has a phone. The calendar app is free. This is the Google Calendar. So if you want a calendar like this, it's completely free. You just download it in the App Store. You all know how to use that. Whatever other phone you got, there's 1,000 calendar apps. Get one and start scheduling out your days. Plan out your day. Here's 2 benefits to planning out activities. Number 1, you know how much time you have to do it, which means you will not allow the task to expand more than it needs to expand. That's called Parkinson's law. A task will expand or contract given the amount of time given to it. So if I give myself an hour to do a task, I'll take an hour. I give myself 30 minutes, I'll take 30 minutes. It seems crazy, but that is exactly how it works. Human nature. We take as much time as we are given. And the other thing is, when you have a schedule and a plan of what you're doing, you know as soon as I get done doing this thing, you know exactly what the next thing is that you need to do. So you don't waste time after you get done doing thing 1, figuring out what's going to happen between what's the next thing that you're going to do. So that means you're not picking up your phone, scrolling through Instagram or going down some rabbit hole on YouTube, and an hour goes by, you didn't get anything done because you didn't have a plan of what to do next. When there's a plan, you know exactly what to do. Everybody following what I'm saying here? One reason that you move slow is that you don't have things planned out, so time gets wasted because the time has nowhere to go. It's a vacuum. You don't want a vacuum is when there's this empty space and there's no process or plan or rhyme or reason as to what to do. That's a vacuum, and vacuums, social media is designed to suck up the vacuum. That's what social media is designed to do. And you know why social media is so popular? So check this out. The reason why social media is so popular, as I just explained to you, is that it's designed to suck up vacuums of time. And so if we just, by deductive reasoning, we understand the reason why it's so popular is because many human beings have vacuums of time in their day every single day, meaning most people don't have their day planned out. Therefore, they have idle time with nothing to do. And guess what they default to? I'm looking at my phone. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. What's the other ones? TikTok. We default to doing these. Why? Because we don't have anything else to do. So we just go right to those because there ain't nothing else to do. And that's why social media is so popular. That's why Facebook has, half the world is on Facebook. 4 billion people on Facebook. How many people on Instagram? How many on TikTok? How many on Twitter? How many on YouTube? Every single day. Not because you're doing anything productive. Not because you're learning and getting informed and making yourself a more valuable person. No, because you're wasting time because you have nothing else to do with the time. If you don't have a plan for your time, all the social media apps, they have engineers who are really smart individuals who go to work every single day figuring out how to take your time away from you. I shouldn't even be saying this on this live. Instagram's going to throttle this live if I keep talking bad about social media. But y'all get the point. Facebook as well. So anybody got a question, put it in the comment section. RS22, RS22nd, appreciate you. Question is, if I could tell my 24-year-old self 3 things, tune into the Work on Your Game podcast. I share that material every single day. Tune into the Work on Your Game podcast, or you can join my coaching program if you want that question. But I answer that every day on my show. We got 2,500 episodes there. So any of you, so with all that said, before I recap these points, a couple things. First of all, you want to get my daily motivation text me at the following number. I already put it in the chat, but I'll put it in the chat again. If you want to get my daily motivation text, I send this out every single day for free. Text me at the following number. I just put it in the chat, 305-384-6894. That's number 1. Number 2, if you want to work with me directly, there is one program. Somebody had reached out to me the other day and said, Dre, I want to know what your options are for working with you. I said, there are no options. There's only one option. The only option is come and Work on Your Game University. It's one option. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. It's the pinned comment that you see here on IG, or it's the link in my profile on Instagram, workonyourgameuniversity.com. There's a button there to schedule a call, to get on a call with me. You got to get on a call with me because I have to see if you're a type of person who I can work with and if you're qualified to work with me. That we check that. We decide. You go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, get on a call, and we'll talk about it. That's number 2. If you want to learn from me for free and you don't want to spend any money, or maybe you don't have any money, or maybe you don't feel like you're ready, then go to workonyourgamepodcast.com, workonyourgamepodcast.com, or you don't even have to go to their website. Just go to Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to podcasts and just type in Work on Your Game or type in Dre Baldwin, and you'll see my podcast. It comes out every single day. It is free of charge. Let me tell you some of the episodes that have come out lately. So I'm going to tell you the last 7 episodes of my show. Last Friday, how to handle getting trashed on the internet. Last Saturday, are you keeping it real with yourself? That's the question. Sunday, why you should be happy when somebody challenges your ideas. On Monday, things that never do in business. On Tuesday, whoing over doing, meaning the person is more important than the activity. On Wednesday, expanding your marketing efforts. On Thursday, being hurt versus being injured, a discussion of principles and standards. And today's episode, what it really takes to make money. All right, so there is Work on Your Game Masterclass. I want to know what the artwork looks like. Look for that right there on Spotify or Apple, and you will see the Work on Your Game. I call mine a masterclass. I refer to it as a podcast because that's what y'all understand, but my show is not a podcast. My show is a masterclass. All right, so those are ways you can work with me. Okay, you want my daily motivation, text me. You want to get free mentoring from me, subscribe to my podcast. And when you're ready to go deep and you're ready to get serious about your business, I usually work with entrepreneurs who are at the 6-figure level. You're trying to get to the 7-figure level, then go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. There's a button there where you can watch the free training that gives you an overview of what we do, or you can just skip the training and go straight to scheduling a call with me, and we can talk about what we need to talk about right there on that call, find out where your challenges are and what we need to do. Everybody got it? Let me recap these 3 points. The topic here today is you are moving too slow. Number 1, fast implementation. When you get a new idea or a new insight or a new directive from anyone, implement immediately. Don't just think about it. Don't just write it down. Don't say you're going to get to it later. Go do it right now. Number 2, get feedback and make decisions quickly. How do you make decisions? You need to have a framework for your decision making, meaning you should not be making decisions based on your gut feeling or your emotions. Make decisions based on a clear framework of yes, no, black, white. It should be clear. If you don't have that, go get yourself a coach or a mentor or join a mastermind group so other people can show you how they do it so that you are not just figuring things out as you go along. That's the slowest way to do things. It's the worst way to do things because you are not good at everything. Therefore, you shouldn't be trying to do everything by yourself. Number 3, how are you using your days? Do you have your days planned and scheduled out? Look at the calendar app on your phone. Do you have your day planned out today? Do you know what you're doing when this is over? Do you know what you'll be doing at this time tomorrow? If not, that's because you have not scheduled out your days and you are showing a disrespect, a lack of respect for your time. Time is the most valuable resource you have. When your time runs out, your life is over. Therefore, you should probably be paying attention to your time. If you run a business and you're not paying attention to the money, then what are you doing? What are you doing? If you're running a business and you're not paying attention to the money, then you're about to be out of business. If you are running your life and you're not paying attention to your time, pretty soon you're going to be out of life. Everybody got what I'm saying here? Does this make sense to everyone? All right, pay attention to your time. If you want your life to matter and you want to get more life out of your life, you should be scheduling out your day and scheduling out your week and scheduling out your month and scheduling out your time. If you want to make more money, you need to be watching the money. You want more life, you need to be watching your life. The most valuable resource you have in life is your time. Everybody got me? Good. Now, let me see what I got. If anybody has a question, put it in the comment section. I'll address a couple questions here. Question is, KA says, how to not succumb to negative feedback and comments from others. I just told you I did an episode of my podcast about that. That was episode 2498 last Friday. How to handle getting trashed on the internet. And you could use that. You don't have to be on the internet. It can be anywhere. And I got a bunch of episodes on negativity, negative energy, all of that. Go to workonyourgamepodcast.com. You can see the full list of every episode in the history of the show. All you got to do is just use the search function and just look up the word negativity or negative energy, and you'll see all the episodes where I've talked about that. You can listen to every episode in history right there on that page. Again, workonyourgamepodcast.com, K.A. Alfred. Manny says, can I link to your podcast? I didn't find it on Spotify. There's no way you didn't find it. Go to Spotify. Make sure you choose the podcast. Don't look up music. Look up podcasts. Because somebody was looking at it once. I forget who I was talking to. And they were on their phone. And they were like, well, Dre, I looked up your podcast. I didn't see it. And I said, that's because you had it on music search instead of podcast search. So make sure, Manny, go to podcasts. When you're on Spotify, make sure you click the search for podcasts and then type in Work on Your Game. You'll see it. I guarantee you it's there. All right, let's see what else. Ali says, do you ever wake up and just need a break from social media? Well, not really, because I don't use social media as a consumer. I use it as a producer. So when I'm on social media right now, I use social media as a producer. I produce on social media. I don't really consume it like that. So those of you who are, if I'm ever following one of y'all on social media, but you never see me comment on or like one of your posts, not because I don't like you, it's because I don't consume social media. So I don't really care I don't use social media to look at what other people are doing. Only time I use social media as a consumer is I usually use Twitter as a place where I get the news. Twitter is basically my news source. So I know what's going on in the world by looking at Twitter. And YouTube, I'll watch YouTube videos on certain subjects if I just want to get informed on a certain topic. But other than that, I'm not like, I don't scroll through the feeds or anything like that. So therefore, I never get to the point that I need a break from it. Or Ali said, do you ever not want to post or do stories? Not really. Most of the time I'm cool with doing it because I know who I'm talking to. And I'm also not looking at it like, as far as social media goes, I'm not looking at it like I need it to do anything. So if I post a post or a story and it doesn't get a ton of whatever engagement, I don't feel bad about it because I don't really need social media to do that for me. I really don't. My most important asset in my business is my ability to, whether we can run ads, that means we get whatever traffic we want. It doesn't matter if I had an audience or not. And my list, email lists, those are more valuable than anything on social media. Social media can delete you anytime they feel like it. So this is all, anything happens on social media is cool, but I don't need social media. I don't look at it like that. Manny, you found it? All right, there you go. See, I told you. Sometimes people just search the music and they don't see it. All right, so Josh says, does anything compromise your schedule? Well, yeah, if there's an emergency, yeah. An emergency can compromise anybody's schedule. But other than that, I stick to the plan as best as possible. And then when you have things prioritized and you know, let's say there's a crunch and you lose an hour of time in your day. Now you got to move things around. But when you know what the priority is and you know what you can get rid of and what needs to get pushed back and what must happen. So again, that's all part of a framework of having a clear strategy of what you are doing. And we talk about all this inside of Work on Your Game University, where you get inside of my program, Work on Your Game University. Number one, you're going to come out with that bulletproof mindset. Number two, you're going to have a clear plan of action. Number three, you're going to have a system to make all of this work. And number four, we're going to execute. You're going to be held accountable. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody got that? Mindset, bulletproof mindset. Number two, a clear plan of action. Number three, a system to make it work. Number four, execution along with accountability. Usually, people I talk to are looking for one of those four things, sometimes all four of them, sometimes 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, whatever. So that's workonyourgameuniversity.com. Any of you who wants to be coached by me, you're going to work with me directly, you can schedule a call with me and we can talk about it. Just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. All right, everybody, we've been going for about an hour here. And somebody was asking me, how can they deploy their ability to communicate? You need to be doing stuff like this. Do live streams. Get on video. Record videos. Talk to an audience. I don't care if you got one person watching or nobody watching. You just need to take time and get better at this. I gotten good at it because I do it all the time. I've recorded how many videos I got on YouTube? Probably 8,000. I got 2,500 episodes of my podcast. I do these live streams all the time. I've done so much of this that I've gotten good at it from practice and repetition and just knowing your approach. And you don't figure out your approach till you do enough of it till you figure out what works for you. So I figured out what worked for me and I do it over and over again, get out to my audience, and then we go from there. All right, everybody. So y'all know your next steps. Text me to get that daily motivation. That number is in my bio. Workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you get into my coaching program. Workonyourgamepodcast.com, or just look it up on Spotify or Apple. If you're on Spotify, make sure you choose the podcast search, not the music search. I'm not a rapper. Podcast. Choose podcast, then type in Work on Your Game, and you'll find it. I'll probably go live again this weekend. We'll see. We will see. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Work on your game. Out of here.